Good morning, friends. Welcome back to our online lesson. Today's topic is the human teeth and dental decay. And let's do a recap session to remind us what we actually learned before our Hari Raya holidays. We looked at the functions of the small intestine, large intestine, the rectum, and the anus. So the small intestine, the part that is called the ileum, its main function is to absorb food. Absorption is the main function, and what kind of things does it absorb? Digested food like glucose, fructose, galactose, amino acids, fatty acids, and glycerol. It also absorbs vitamins, and the small intestine also absorbs a lot of water. The adaptations of the small intestine that helps it to carry out absorption is the fact that it is about 7 meters long. So this means that it covers a large surface area and also gives a lot of time for the food to be absorbed. Its walls are also folded or pleated longitudinally. So if you see this little part right here, it's like folded, and that's the folding that we're talking about here. And it's not just folded along the walls, but it also is, these walls are even folded into mini finger-like structures called the villus. So this is what the structure of the villus looks like. Sometimes you might be asked to complete the drawing of this, sometimes you are asked to label it, other times you're asked to recognize it. So this is 1 cell thick. This lining right here is called the epithelium, and it is made up of just a single layer of epithelial cells. And how do these things actually absorb the food? So once these digested food or vitamins and water enter the ileum, they absorb. So the epithelial layer here, epithelium cells, they absorb by diffusion or active transport. And remember that active transport requires a lot of energy. In here, this yellow part is called the lacteal, and it is used to absorb and transport fatty acids and glycerol. And right here, that kind of nut-like structure is a blood capillary. Capillary, again, is also a 1 cell thick blood vessel, and its main function is to transport blood from the artery to the vein. So this is red because it brings kind of blood from the heart, and then after that this capillary will transport it to a vein. That's why you see this blue color right here. That's right. So the blood capillaries' main function that can be found inside the villus is to absorb glucose, which is these guys right here, and also amino acids, so the circly parts right there. Now once the food, the digested food and the vitamins and the water have been absorbed fully in the small intestine, what comes next is the large intestine. So the chyme is going to enter the large intestine, which is the colon, aka called the colon. And this colon's main function is to absorb excess water. So this means that if there is a lot of water left, it's going to reabsorb that back. And if your body has already enough water, then it won't really reabsorb that back. It also absorbs a lot of mineral salts, for example calcium, which is really important for bone formation and teeth formation, and also iron, which is important for your hemoglobin formation, so formation of red blood cells. Once the chyme here enters the large intestine, all the water is going to be absorbed, so it will now become kind of like more solid-like, and that is where the formation of feces comes from. In the large intestine, there's also deposits of pigments from red blood cells. So this actually gives the feces that brown color actually. So at the end of the large intestine, the colon, are these two parts right here. You have the rectum and the anus. So the rectum is the bag, that shape right there, and that ending right there, that's like an opening, that's called the anus. So what the rectum does is that it stores the feces before egestion, and the anus actually carries out the function of the process, the last process in the human alimentary canal, which is egestion, which is the removal of feces. All right. Now let's look into today's learning objective, which is to identify the different types of human teeth and describe their structure and functions. We also need to talk about the causes of dental decay and describe the proper care of teeth. So for this part, 5L, I actually have a video for you to watch. So please go onto your Google Classroom later to watch that video to actually cover this learning objective. Alright, let's get into this. There are many types of human teeth, and let's first talk about the function of them. So people use their teeth mainly to bite, to cut, to tear, and to grind food. This is all of these are examples of mechanical digestion. The smaller pieces of food are then mixed with saliva to form a ball of food called a bolus. But in the mouth, you also have your salivary glands, which also secretes amylase. So in the mouth, it's not just mechanical digestion, but it also carries out chemical digestion, which is the conversion of, or the breakdown of starch into glucose. But the teeth, its main function is mechanical, so it just cuts down that food into smaller pieces. Another fun fact is that your teeth also helps you to produce different sounds. So it actually is very important for speaking and forming words. Now you have two types of teeth in the course of your life. You have your milk teeth and your permanent teeth. There are two sets of teeth in your lifetime, and the first one is the milk teeth. These are the first set of teeth, and it lasts for around 10 to 12 years before they're pushed out. And who pushes them out? It's actually the permanent teeth. There are 4 types of tooth when it comes to the permanent ones, and a total of 28 of them will last until it won't last until 17. If you take care of your teeth really well, it will last your whole life. But basically, you will start off with 28 teeth until 17 years old. At least around 17, that's when you get your wisdom teeth growing. And once all 4 of the wisdom teeth grows, this will result in the total of 32 altogether. Let's look into the first type of tooth. So you have a side profile right here, and what do you call this? A front profile. You can see here at the side, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 at the first part right here. So you call this the quarter jaw. So it's 1/2. So 1/2 of the top jaw. So that is what we call the quarter jaw. So if we're looking at the 1/2, it's only like this part right here. So there are 2 incisors in the front of each quarter jaw. So you have 1, 2, and then 1, 2 right here too. a quarter jaw is one half of the top jaw or the bottom jaw, and you get a total of 8 in the whole set. So if you look at the front view here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are your incisors. The characteristics of these is that they're very sharp, spade-like teeth, and their main function is for biting and cutting food. The root type is that they have a single root. So the root of the tooth is just the bottom part right here. So it can either be single or double or even triple sometimes. The next type of tooth is the canines. So it's right over here. There is one canine per quarter jaw. So if we're looking just one quarter jaw, that means this is one part of like a quarter of the either the top or the lower. So you can see one here and another one here. There's a total of 4 in the whole set. So if you look over here, you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And how can you tell? Just remember that the first 4 in the middle is the incisors, and then right after that, you get your canine. The characteristic of the canine is that it's conical in shape. So conical means like a cone, and it is very sharp. So I think this is what it means by, so it looks like a cone from the top like that, even the bottom because of the root. But mainly I think they're looking at the top shape, looks like a cone, and it's very, very sharp. Being sharp, the main function is also to bite, to cut food, but also to tear food into pieces. The root type is also single rooted, just like the incisors. Now we have the premolars. So there are 2 premolars per quarter jaw. You can see that at the top there's 2, and at the bottom there's 2. But overall you have, actually it's not 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You actually have 8 in total. Let me just edit that. Okay, so you have 8 of your premolars. Okay, nice. Alright, speaking of which, I forgot to mention that premolars are called premolars because pre means before. So they come before the molars. So if you look at that, so these are called the premolars because at the end right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these guys right here are called the molars. So these are called the premolars, right before the molars. The characteristics of the premolars is that the surface of each tooth has 2 projectors or cusps. So you can see 1, 2, like that. I guess it's kind of like the crown of it. That's how I kind of remember about it, I guess. The function of this, having like those projectors or the cusp, is that it's very helpful for crushing and grinding food. The root type is usually double rooted. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total. So you have about 8 premolars. Now coming to the last set of teeth, this is called the molars. There are 3 molars per quarter jaw. So you have 1, 2, 3 at the top, and also 1, 2, 3 at the bottom. The third molar, so you see 1, 2, 3, so the third one right here, this is called the wisdom teeth. And they do not appear until the person is at least 17 years old. You have a total of 12 in the whole set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It should be right there, I think. 12. I forgot to color that part. I'm so sorry. The characteristics of the molars is that the surface is square, and it has 4 cusps, and its main function is also similar with a premolar, which is for crushing and grinding. the root type is also double rooted, but sometimes the molars can have triple root as well. Alright, next part is about taking care of your teeth, and before we get into that, we need to talk about the structure of your teeth. Usually in diagrams they usually show the molar, sometimes they show the canine, but the very famous diagrams are actually the molar. So this is how the molar looks like, and your tooth actually sits on top of this thing right here. The darker gray color here is showing you the jawbone. And right outside the jawbone right there is the gum. And actually your tooth actually has different layers. I'm sure you've seen this before, and I hope that this video helps you to remind yourself what are the parts of your tooth. So the top layer right there, that's called okay, that's not the dentin, but the middle layer is called the dentin, but the top part right there is called the enamel. So this one is the part that actually protects your whole tooth. And then you have parts at the bottom, the root area, you have the cement, and then on the inner part, that's called the pulp cavity. And over here it's red because it contains a lot of nerves and blood vessels. And the thing about this is that if you have like a hole in your tooth, it can reach to the pulp cavity, and that's when you get a lot of pain. So this hole in your tooth is actually called decay or a cavity. And you're going to watch a video after this to find out how your tooth actually decays and how a cavity actually forms. So please check out the Google Classroom Go Formative video and exercise. And I'll see you guys next time. Selamat Hari Raya, everybody. And this video is actually sponsored by my sister because she got me a new microphone. So please send her some prayers because she's doing her PhD right now. Alright, see you guys when school reopens. Bye.